I will scream Allah Akbar and blow us all the fucking smithereens. We're gonna sell the business. This guy's fucking nuts. I knew we were at the end. Let's get through the fucking window before it closes.
December 21st, 2021, that was the day.
Good memory.
You sold your business for $115 million.
Yep.
What was that day like? Can you talk to us about that process of selling the company for $115 million?
What's interesting about selling a company is that business owners think I did because they successfully started and scaled the business. Somehow that qualified them to have the skill set to successfully sell a company. And I will tell you, it does not. At that point, when I sold the business for $115 million, I had already gone to market 5 times. That was my 6th time going to market. The first 2 times I tried to sell the company failed. The process blew up both times within sub 30 days of when we were supposed to close. I was supposed to get a check for tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. Both deals, I was supposed to get $40 million, and they didn't happen. And it left me with millions of dollars in legal fees and other advisors and consultants. I owed them a ton of money and I had nothing to show for it. Then I went on to sell the business minority pieces 3 separate times. So when I finally sold for the $115 million valuation, I actually owned 58% of the company and 100% of the real estate. Although the real estate was not in the $115 million exit, I sold that the following year in 2022 on my own. So in March of 2021, I woke up and I looked around the world. I was here in Miami. Crypto was bumping, and one of the main things that I knew that the world was fucked and it was a bubble and it was gonna pop was that there were people running around Miami buying and selling NFTs. They were selling like $500,000 pictures of apes, and they were like, look at my Bored Ape or my Crypto Punk or whatever it was. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this picture. And I was like, there's no way on planet Earth that this is sustainable. I knew we were at the end. And I knew a correction was coming. Fucking 20-year-old retards in Lamborghinis with $500,000 pictures of apes. I'm like, something is wrong. And one of the things about business is you have to trust your gut. Instinct over smarts. You can overthink something into what makes sense, but if your gut tells you something, do not let your brain argue with your gut. Every time I have over-rationalized or over-explained something and gone against what I felt, I was wrong and it fucking hurt me. And this is one of the times that I went with it, despite everybody disagreeing with me. So I had the partnership group who I had sold all the minority pieces to the business arguing with me in March of 2021, early in the year, when I went to them and said, we're gonna sell the business. Now is the time. Multiples are through the roof. When you sell a business, it is your earnings times a certain number that they multiply the earnings by, which is the valuation of the company. That multiple number goes up and down based on supply and demand of businesses versus buyer activity. Buyer activity, they had just money to burn. So the multiples were crazy. The deals were getting done. The M&A market was fucking hot. And so I made the decision. They were like, you're crazy. We need to continue to run the business. I went back and forth with them for a couple weeks, trying to like level set and get them to see the world the way that I saw it. They did not. To be fair, that group is now exceeding $1 billion valuation of assets under management. They could have stayed in the business for 5 to 10 years. I did not want to. So we were also at different ideology around investment thesis in the company. I wanted to sell while the market was hot. I eventually just made the decision and told them, well, I'm majority shareholder and we're selling the company. I have the right to do that. You're coming for the ride. That's it. And so it ended that conversation. I then retained an investment bank. The investment bank, it's a lengthy process. People think you could sell a company like that. You can't. I had been preparing for years, had already been through multiple transactions, and it was still an immense amount of work and took a crazy long time. So we hired the investment bank. They came in, we scrubbed all the information for the business, and you build what's called the data room. This is unbelievably helpful information for anyone who has a business that they think someday might sell. Put every single thing, every record, every document, anything that is relevant at all in one place, like a Google Drive or something like that, because we didn't do that. And the business was 13 years old. People had come, people had gone. We moved from this system to that system to another system. We had to go out and scrub to find all this stuff for the entire company's history and put it in one place. We took that information and compiled a pitch deck, essentially, call it a SIM. And we went out to a buyer list of a couple hundred people on a no-names basis. Hey, there's a business in this area with this revenue. If you're interested, let us know. We'll send you an NDA. Of that list, we executed more than 100 NDAs. Then there's a methodical process that you go through, and there's several big milestone dates, and there's a lot of work that happens between all of them. The next milestone date is called the indication of interest due date. It is when people get the deck, they get the SIM, they get the indication of interest due date, and they say, if you want to be included in this process, you need to submit a letter that has all of this information and criteria, including your thoughts about how you will generally value the business. And when those come in, it's not an exact deal and it's not actually an offer. They're saying, we'd like to know more about the business. This is how we're thinking about it. This is what we think it's worth around that. X millions to X millions. We, on that day, received like 40 indications of interest, which is crazy. That doesn't happen today. The industry, the economy, deals were getting done. It was just the perfect storm. That's what I'm saying, is that I saw this opportunity and I was like, the window is open. Let's get through the fucking window before it closes. And so of the indications of interest, we sent half of them home. Of the 20 or so, we then gave them access to the data room to come in and start to dig in. The next meaningful date is the letter of intent date. This is their actual offer. When this comes in, they expect that if they're chosen, you're gonna sign this and you're gonna go exclusive with them into a period of due diligence to closing the business. But during that exclusivity period, you can't talk to any other buyers about the company. It's also a very important moment because it's the moment where you lose something that is unbelievably important in deal making: leverage. Always keep your leverage. My people that deal with me, my real estate brokers, my business brokers, and others, I said, listen, you have to understand, in any and all deals, I have escape routes. I have option B, C, D, and I am at all times willing to blow this deal up. I'm a suicide bomber in the deal. I'm a dangerous guy. I have the vest strapped on. I will scream Allah Akbar and blow us all the fucking smithereens at the closing table. Fuck with me and try to retrade me at a closing table. I don't need the money that bad. I'll blow us all up. Don't do it. So your buyer always has to be a little scared of you. And if you can convince them you're a little crazy and unpredictable, I'm not, but they all think I am. It's all very tactical, but they're like, this guy's fucking nuts. You know what I mean? And so you got to have them believe and you'll blow this thing up. So the indications of interest crowd that's remaining has an LOI date. The LOI date is when they submit their final bid. And we received 20. What's interesting about private equity and the M&A space, they have their own language. They also have their own little quirks and traditions. It's the strangest thing in the world. And it'll say the LOI is due at 5 p.m. on this day. You think you might get one like in the morning or one of them, just send it through that day. They all wait until 5 p.m. So you're sitting there like the longest day of your fucking life, right? You're waiting like, what offers do I have? How much is it? And then between like 4:50 and 5:10, you're just sitting there opening your email, like scratch tickets, fucking getting them off and go, all right, what are the terms? How much? And you write it down on a piece of paper. And so that's what I was doing on the LOI due date. One of the interesting things that I did in my deal, of the LOIs, I sent half of those home. I took 9 management meetings. Now, after you get the LOIs, before you sign one, you'll meet the people, right? You haven't made your decision yet. Now we see who's who. We see how much money, where their money's coming from, how they're thinking about the business. Now we want to meet the groups, and the groups want to meet us. And so they come in and there's 9 management meetings, and it's all day in the conference room, and your team now comes in and they meet the team members one by one, and you have some of the smartest business minds on planet Earth, Harvard MBAs, etc., top of their class, all drilling your team, trying to poke holes, trying to pressure test, right? And so we did Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday. By the time like I was on day 4, I was like, oh my God, shoot me, this sucks. And you come in and, oh, hi, how you doing? I'm from so-and-so private equity group and blah, blah, blah. And then you have to do dinner with them too. So I'm all day, short break, dinner, 2 weeks. And blow my fucking brains out. What the fuck does this matter? And he starts asking me about education, busting my balls. Dropped out of high school 15 years old. I still, to this day, do not have a GED. Put his neck out by fucking with me. I hate it.